Yo, hey, what's going on everybody? Alex with you here again. Thanks for dropping by for yet another chess video. I am really excited about this video in particular because we'll be taking a little bit of time to review this coffee cup right over here with the letter S. Let me just zoom my camera in. No, I'm just joking. We're going to be taking a look at the Square Off Neo today. Mainly, I have the Square Off Swap right next to it because we'll actually be setting the two boards side by side. Taking into account the fact that these boards have kind of almost been developed and released kind of at the same time, there's a lot of people out there that are wanting to see review videos like this where we can set these two boards right next to each other and give you guys my take as far as which board might be more suitable for one individual versus the other, so that if you guys are out there in the market looking for one of the Square Off boards such as these, especially like for the holidays, hopefully this video will be helpful to you guys. If you find this video helpful in any way, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I do release a lot of different videos reviewing all kinds of different chess boards, chess merchandise in general. Always very exciting to see more new subscribers. We're almost at 4,500 subscribers, which is a very much so unfathomable number for me, but I'm very stoked, as I am super excited about this video. Hopefully you guys will get as excited as I will. I'll show you guys, this is the swap box, and right next to it is the Neo. They're almost about the same height, and I was gonna say that the swap box is a little bit longer as well, just a little bit taller and a little bit thicker. The specifications, let me just turn these around so you guys can kind of see what some of the main differences between the two. Okay, so both of the boards look like they're gonna have 2.5-inch keying. You get 10 games on the battery of the Square Off Neo, whereas you get a 15 games, which is what, a 35, no, it's a 50% increase. So if you're really wanting to take this board out somewhere and play games where you really don't have the opportunity to plug it in and you don't really have any power bank or anything like that, it might seem like the swap's going to be providing you with a little bit more games. Maybe the battery's just a little bit bigger. The board here weighs at 4 pounds versus 6.2 pounds. So as far as mobility wise and being able to take it places, 4 pounds is a little bit lighter. It is a little bit harder to carry around 6 pounds, but it kind of depends whether it's a product that's meant for a kid or for an adult, but either way, it's going to be a little bit lighter. The square size is going to be the same, 1.5 inch. So this is the Square Off Neo, that's the Square Off Swap, same amount of pieces. Now the swap will have checkers, and that's kind of why I guess it's called swap, because you can swap between chess and checkers. Then you get the founder's letter. Looks like you get a phone stand with the Neo. We'll take a look at that more closely. You get the founder letters, user guide, and the swap. And then this is about the same. Analyze games, video calling, record and save games, online tournaments, earn rewards, kind of the same thing even. So superficially, the main differences that we're going to be seeing is that the swap's going to be a little bit heavier, but does have a slightly bigger battery that will provide you with slightly more games. If you guys are interested in watching a full review video of the swap, be sure to head to the description below, and I'll include the link to the video that I made of the swap. I think I made a couple of different videos, but the main video I'll include in the description. So if you guys are wanting to see that video, be sure to head down below and check it out. Alrighty, my friends, so here's the Square Off Neo. We're gonna go ahead and unbox it. Inside, the very first thing that we find is the letter from the founder, which is basically telling us thank you so much for buying the board. We have this sort of I don't know what it is, but just like sort of this cardboard covering. I guess it's just for looks. And then inside we have this sort of a canvas or just kind of this fabric bag that holds the board in place. So kind of carefully take it out, and here we got the Square Off Neo. Very, very nice board. It's not super heavy. I have to say that the Square Off Swap was heavier to hold, so 4 pounds is definitely not as much as 6.2. We're gonna set that aside for just a moment, and we'll come back to it in just a second. Inside, very nicely packaged, we have the chess pieces on both sides in these little boxes right over here. The light pieces on one side. There we go. Looking really nice. You get the 2 queens right over here. So these pieces may look like they're made out of wood. They're actually plastic. but they are made to look like wooden pieces just because of the coloration. It is a little bit different compared to the Square Off Swap, because the Square Off Swap had the gray pieces. So we'll set that aside. And then we got the dark pieces. The dark pieces actually do look quite similar to the Square Off Swap, because I think the Square Off Swaps had dark pieces as well, just like these. So that's good to see. We're gonna set these aside as well. Inside this box right over here, I believe we've got the user manual kind of just placed in there. One little tiny user manual like this that basically shows us how to connect our board and where to get the app and all that type of stuff. It's kind of a big box for just like a really small thing like that, but I guess it's also used to sort of keep everything together, and the thickness of the box is made to keep everything in line, sort of like this. And then right over here, I believe we have all the accessories that are necessary. We've got the different adapters that you might be looking for depending on what country you're in. This is the United States one. I know I can recognize that one. Here's the main adapter, and if you're like me and you live stateside, then you can just plug this in. So we got that plugged in. It was a little bit tricky to plug this part in, but this side right here, interestingly, is not USB-C. It's just like one of the regular ones. So I'm not sure why they chose to go with this, but I think that the Square Off Swap also had the same type of a connection. Maybe it ensures that you get a better electrical current. I don't know. Either way, that's where you're getting. I would probably have preferred USB-C just because it's a lot more convenient to use, and you can plug it into your computer and a lot of other things. You don't have to seek like a wall outlet for the USB-C, but either way. Well, what else do we have inside the box? The holder right over here. I think the holder may have come with the swap too. They might have just not put it on their box, but I believe I've seen one of these recently, and if you do watch my review video of the swap, it's probably in there because I've seen one of these. So that's kind of cool. It's a inexpensive plastic holder that's kind of made to hold your phone. Like the way that it works is that you just sort of open it up at this, I don't know what you call it, 70 degree or something like that, and then you put your phone like this, and then there's only really one angle that you can use this with. Now with like the Chess Up, I've seen they had I think the Chess Up had the most elaborate phone holder, and you could really switch up the angles and all that type of stuff. Lastly, we've got this little adapter right over here in case you are somewhere else which has these. I guess it's in Europe. And then the back side of it is actually one of these things. So you plug it into you plug it in like this, I guess. Just plug it in and you're good to go. I don't know, because there is a different current. Like in here, I think it's 110, and in Europe it's 220 or something like that. So I'm not sure how that works, but I guess it does work, so that's fine. And that's it. That's all we get as far as accessories, as far as pieces and everything. We're gonna go ahead and set the boxes aside, and we're gonna set up the board, plug it in, and test it out. One of the things worth mentioning, I've mentioned this before in both the Kingdom review video that I did long time ago, as well as the recent swap video, but before you get started, and I believe that they mentioned this on their instruction, is down below underneath right over here. We have this little knob here, and it says it's the shipping lock. So what you need to do is essentially you need to unscrew this part right over here, or maybe not even unscrew, but take it out. Here we go. Yeah, it's kind of unscrew and take it out at the same time. Once you take it out, what happens is there's like these arms that go this way, I believe. I haven't actually unscrewed this, but I think based on the way that it sounds is these little arms, metal arms that sort of just go every which way around the board like this. And I believe like right over here when they initially make the board is that there's probably a hole that connects the two to prevent it from like moving all over the board when it's being shipped. Otherwise, I guess it could be damaged. That is one of the things that you want to pay attention to, because once you actually remove it, let's see. Actually, once you remove it, I don't hear it. With the other boards, I used to hear it kind of clank around a little bit. They must have improved something, because now it's I can feel the weight of the arms kind of go a little bit, but it's a lot more dampened. Like You hear it? Just a little bit. I know with the Kingdom board, it was like, it was like a lot. So anyways, you get the little square off emblem right over here at the very front and on the other side as well. It's got this sort of a really nice plain white plastic underside with the connectors being just kind of like what we've seen with the square off swap, meaning you have the on off button that actually clicks in like that, and then it clicks out. So, and then you have the part where you plug in the current to charge it, and that's it. There's no other buttons or anything on this board, so it's kind of very minimalistic. Everything else, as far as the control of the board, comes from within your phone. So the board itself is very nice. According to the instructions, the size of the square is going to be the same here as it is on the square off swap. You've got really nice notation on all sides, with the notation being reversed for the opposite player. As you can see on this side, it's heading that way. Same with this, but then this side is for you, which is really nice to see. And the notation is not super like in your face, but it's present. So for those that don't necessarily want to play by notation or don't want to use it, it's not in your way, it's not obstructed, and it's not distracting, okay? But at the same time, it's still there. So really nice, really quite nice. We're gonna go ahead and plug this board in, set it up real quick, and see how it works. The underside of the pieces has this sort of a velvety red felt here, not super thick, but it is soft. And considering that the pieces are not super heavy, the amount of thickness of the felt I feel like is sufficient for these particular pieces. They can't really make it super thick too, because if there's a magnet inside of these pieces, then the magnet has to be close enough to the arm of the board in order for the board to be able to attach to the magnet to move the piece. Fully set up on the board, these pieces do look really quite nice. I'm not sure if on the camera I'll be able to kind of translate the way they look, but they do. They look really, really nice. I feel like the color matching of the board to the pieces, especially the light pieces, has been done really well. The dark pieces are dark, but at the same time they kind of have a little bit of this sort of a dark gray to them, which is nice because it's not as striking. The squares themselves are made in such a way that we have this dark, but it's not like dark, it's more of a sort of a wooden like grain, gray, dark gray with this grain of sort of yellowish to sort of imitate a wooden feel. So even though the pieces themselves are plastic and the board itself is plastic as well, it does look more wood-like than perhaps the Square Off Swap or the Square Off Pro. As far as the pieces and the amount of space that you have, there's definitely plenty of space for the pieces to sit comfortably. Now both the Square Off Swap, the Square Off Neo, and the Kingdom, the bases are kind of a little bit smaller, just because a lot of times if the pieces have to be sort of automatically moved, especially for the opponent. For example, this knight, when it comes out, has to be able to fit in between here, like this, and I think that's the way the arm takes it. So if there's not enough space, for example, between the two pieces like this, it's gonna push the pawns out of the way. So that's always important to have enough space between the pieces, and therefore they can't make the bases too big. Here's the Square Off Swap next to the Square Off Neo as far as size, and we can definitely see that the Square Off Swap's bigger, but primarily it's bigger because they have these sides right over here, and these sides are meant to, when you're playing the game and let's say that the opponent takes your piece, then your piece will be moved by the arm to one of the places designated for that particular piece. So here we see that there's pawns on the bottom, and then on top we have all the other pieces except the king, since the king is not going to be taken off the board. We have all the pieces, the two queens, and everything's there. And if you're playing like a classical game, then theoretically the arm will actually move the piece to its designated spot. If you're playing like a blitz game, then it's just going to throw it off to the side because it doesn't have time to move it to its specific spot. But yeah, that's the reason primarily why we've got that extra bit of space. Otherwise, if we look at the boards from the very top, which is kind of tricky to do for some reason, we can see that the squares are about the same size. And if we didn't have those side things on the square off swap, we'd probably be at about a reasonably the same size. The square off swap's a little bit wider, as you can see, just a tad bit, definitely longer. And according to the description, it is going to be a little bit heavier than the square off Neo. As far as the pieces, the square off Neo has these plastic white pieces for the light side, whereas the square off Neo has these yellow pieces. If we set the pieces side by side, you can see that the pieces are pretty much identical. I don't really see any difference. They're probably using the same mold to make them, just a different color. You get the yellow plastic with the Neo and the white plastic with the swap. About the same weight, I'm assuming, too. The dark pieces are about the same, as you can see. I don't really see that much of a difference either. I was hoping to see if the dark would be more darker in the swap, which at first it kind of seemed to be that way, but now that I'm seeing it again, I think they're very similar. There's really not much practical difference to the shade, obviously, but just wanted to kind of also show you this in case anybody's interested. The pieces, just like with the square off swap, the pieces are magnetized with the magnetic field pointing in the same direction. So if I get this piece close enough to the other one, it's gonna start moving because it's gonna repel it. See, so it's not really magic, but it's kind of like magic, I guess. Okay, so having reviewed the physical characteristics of the board, let's go ahead and jump into the firmware end of things. So in order for you to play, you're going to need some kind of a phone or an iPad, something that you can use to connect to this board and be able to control it from a device like this. Depending on whether you have an Android or an iPhone, the easiest thing to do is usually to use your phone to download the app, which is called Square Off. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see it, but it's right over here. I've shown this app before numerous times, but in case you are new to my channel, you have to get it from either the Play Store or the App Store, and you just go in here and then it will prompt you to either sign in, or if you already signed in, it'll just drop you into the screen right over here. All we have to do now is turn on the board and allow the application to find and connect to the board. There's a little phone holder mate-proof handy for this particular video, but we're gonna go ahead and turn the board on. As soon as I turn on the board, I could see that the arm started moving around underneath. You kind of feel it shake the table a little bit just because it's moving around. Maybe it's calibrating or finding its position where it needs to go. And there's this sort of circular little LED light thing that it might be kind of hard to see the little LED circle here, but it's the same way as it was with the swap. Looking at this app right over here on the big screen, we're gonna go to this Bluetooth thing. As soon as we go to the Bluetooth, we have all the different boards that we can choose from. We're going to choose the Neo. So we're gonna go ahead and hit the Neo. Down on the bottom it says let's connect the board, so let's go ahead and connect. The board has made connection, so we can see all the different check marks that have appeared. Now I guess we're gonna be able to. So let's just go ahead and jump in. I'm gonna try to play with the AI first. We're gonna see how that works. So this little phone holder sort of holds my phone, but then it kind of pops out. My phone has a little case, and maybe it's too heavy for this phone holder. Maybe if I make it a little bit. No, I don't think so. Yeah, this phone holder is not gonna hold my phone. I don't think it will. When you click on the AI thing, it will prompt you to, if you wanna play against the Square Off AI or the Lichess bots. So we're just gonna go ahead and start. We'll play with the Square Off. When you click on play against the Square Off AI, it will choose whether you want adaptive strength, if you want manual. So if you click manual, it will ask you what level you want it at. In this case, you can choose from level 1 all the way to level 20. I believe level 20 is like ELO of 3000 or something like that. That's more than sufficient for most people, but adaptive AI is kind of cool in a way that if it'll sense whether or not you're playing well, and if you're making some blunders or mistakes, it'll actually sort of make its own blunders, so that way it'll kind of be side by side with you, sort of, so it will give you more or less kind of a fair chance at possibly winning. So let's go ahead and click adaptive AI. You want to play as white or black? I'm just gonna we're gonna play as white. Game clock, we're not gonna set game clock. Let's do it, okay? And then here's the additional information that it asks you. You want full automation or you want hands only. So if you do hands only, I believe it's just gonna prompt you with LED lights, and then you just move the pieces where they need to go. But if you do full automation, that is gonna probably eat up more of your battery as you do that. So it's nice that they give you this option. I believe they also gave you the same option in the square off swap. So we'll just do full automation. Let's go ahead and play. It says go ahead and set up all the pieces. So it's sensing to make sure all the pieces are right where they need to be. Now that we got all the pieces properly aligned, it's ready to go. So I guess it's gonna be my turn and I'm gonna go first. I believe you can also set the board up like this so you can actually see as you're playing. So I'm gonna move E2 to E4 while we're looking at this particular screen. And here we go. Now the arm is moving and it's made its first move. I'm gonna set this somewhere over here. It's probably, you guys may or may not be able to see it. Let me take a look. Maybe I can prop it against like, maybe, you know what? There, that works kind of. Okay, so, oh, but look, I accidentally set these pieces up on my side wrong and it still recognized it because it doesn't have a chip inside here, so, yikes, I'm gonna have to do this. There. As long as you got the pieces in their squares, regardless of whether or not we have this piece in here or this piece, just like we've seen with the other square off, it's gonna recognize that everything's fine, just because there's no individual sensors inside of the pieces. They kind of go just basically by the little magnets in there. In fact, if you just had the magnets instead of the pieces, it'll probably be okay, but we're gonna go ahead and move this piece here. And let's see what we're gonna do, what the opponent's gonna do. Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and take. Okay. Now I wanna know what happens when they take my piece. So far, it's looking pretty good, I guess. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so what it does is it just pushes it to the side. That's about it. I think that's going to be the extent. When it's pushing it off to the side like that, it's up to you to go ahead and take it. It does vibrate kind of in a similar way that the square off swap did. It does vibrate when the arm is moving around, sometimes more noticeably than other times. In this case, I'm not really playing a game so much as I'm just sort of showing you how it works. So that's kind of what we have as far as the pieces are moving around. That's not bad. We're gonna reset everything back up. I'm gonna quit and resign. That was no time game. So you and the opponent had plenty of time, at least you and the AI. We're gonna go ahead and try game clock. We're gonna do game clock. We're gonna do 5-minute game with 0 increments. So let's see how that, and then we'll do adaptive, okay? Let's go. Play with full automation. We should have all the pieces set up. Okay, we're ready to go. This is a 5-minute game, so we're gonna go fast. Let's see how quickly it's gonna move. Okay. I wonder, let's just for the sake of it, let's see how quickly, is the board gonna run out of time? Still moving kind of slow-ish. The board is very particular. If the pieces are ever so slightly off the center, it seems like it has issues. So one of the things you can notice here is that it seems like the arm is moving a little bit slower than the square off swap. I think that the square off swap has a bigger arm and it does move a lot quicker. Now mind you, this is a 5-minute game, so it's definitely taking a while to move the pieces. I'm probably gonna win based on time. Okay. Yeah, it pushes it right off to that corner. So see, what happens is the opponent, when you're playing against the AI, is taking their time. When the pieces are moving, it's not counting against the opponent while it's doing that. So that's kind of nice. So it's not going to count it until it. So basically, it's been playing this whole game and it's not really. I get dinged on time, but apparently this board doesn't get dinged on time, which is nice. So there you have it. That's playing with the AI. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna quit just because I don't want to waste too much of your time. I know this could drag on forever. We're gonna reset the pieces back up, and we're gonna see what it would take to log into chess.com or Lichess and see how that experience is with playing on this board online. Okay, it was a pretty quick experience as far as signing in through chess.com. So this is the thing, is I'm playing like a 5-minute game or something like that. Oh, a 10-minute game, I guess. I'm not sure. I thought I clicked 5-minute game. That's interesting. Okay. So while the pieces are moving, I get time counted against me. So I'm playing as black, I think. So here's the opponent, but then like, look, it goes right to me while he's moving his pieces. That's kind of, yeah, see, it goes immediately to me, and you're losing time while the opponent is moving around. Yeah, we're getting dinged on time major while the pieces are being moved. Okay, so that's that. I'm just gonna go ahead and resign. It's getting a little bit too warm in this room, so I had to change my shirt and get a drink. Yeah, so here we go. Let's take a look. Now we're gonna play through Lichess, and at Lichess we have the different time intervals that you can set: 20 minutes, 25, 30, 60, 15 minutes with 10-second increment, 45 minutes with 45-second increment. I believe that's about it as far as the time intervals. So they don't really give you like a 10-minute or a 5-minute. That's really interesting, but maybe it realizes that the amount of time it takes the arm to move the pieces, you're just gonna lose every time based on time. But okay, so let's do 10-minute and play now, see how that works out. It says wanna go ahead and set the pieces. Once again, it won't let you set the pieces until you take all the little squares and set them exactly in the center. Otherwise, it's kind of a little bit finicky in that way. There we go. And then I think, because this one, the LED light still stays on, but as soon as you're done with that, it should be able to find you an opponent. By the way, if you've seen my previous video, I've been reviewing the Z Fold 5, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5, and how it plays online. I have to say, it's really quite nice. I didn't get a lot of people that viewed that particular video, but it's really, really cool for playing games on Lichess and chess.com. The screen is so big, it's just really nice. If you haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out. Here we are. I guess we are now on, there we go. So the arm starts moving. We're playing a 20-minute game through Lichess. So far so good. It is a little bit finicky. I have to say that if like a piece gets displaced slightly on any of the squares, like, okay, so it displaced the piece off the pawn, but it seems to be okay. But sometimes by displacing its own pieces, it's gonna like prevent you from moving your own piece, and you will be sort of struggling to figure out what's going on. And it might just be that a piece is slightly off square. So here we are, doing some stuff. So it plays well too, as you can see. It's not really a problem. Like I said, it used to be when I was reviewing the Kingdom, the Square Off Kingdom, I believe, initially, that it was having some issues with being able to connect to chess.com and Lichess, but now it seems to be playing really well, so they've worked that out. So if you're if you're thinking about getting this particular board, you will know that it's allowing you to play pretty nicely on both Lichess and chess.com. I'm gonna go ahead and resign, and I don't wanna have to sit here forever, because otherwise the video is going to be like 2 hours. What else do we want to see? Well, you can stream games, okay? And let's take a look if we... Streaming games, meaning that you can watch other people play their games. So we've got all these grandmasters and stuff. So let's just jump in here. And we're gonna... Oh, we can't stream games on this. See, it says the board is not supported. Let's see. You see that? that particular board is not supported for streaming games. Interesting. Okay, but you can stream it from your phone, and if you do that, it'll just sort of show you where are they? Have they started playing yet? Doesn't look that way. Are they just starting to play? Not sure. Now, you can play on this board via face-to-face, and when you click on the face-to-face option, it tells you that these are going to be the things that will be happening. The pieces are not going to be automatically moved. This will not affect your ELO, and you can basically save the games and then be able to broadcast and stream them later, I guess, through the app. So what we are to get out of all this is the pieces are not going to be moving, which we don't want if we're playing face-to-face in the same room with the other opponent. Why would you want moving pieces, I guess? And the game is going to be saved. So more or less, you can use the Square Off Neo to play with somebody in the same room and then save the game, so that way you don't have to notate and you'll still have that history. As usual, we've got the app is filled with all kinds of stuff like puzzles and lessons and stuff like that. I do have the premium account, I believe. By the way, when you choose to play through online, through chess.com, the options that they give you as far as time also are kind of large. So you don't have like 5 minutes, but you can choose a custom one. And here I put 5 minutes. I'm not sure if it'll work. So we'll set this down, and it tells us to adjust our pieces, and now it's looking for an opponent. Okay, we found some opponent here, and we are playing. Are we playing? No, they're playing us. So we're gonna go ahead and move our piece. So they're thinking, and now look at this. Once again, if you're playing a 5-minute game, your time is running while their pieces are moving. And now it's not recognizing it. See, once again, this is the little issue here. If you put the piece back like this, then you can go, I think. Sometimes it wants to do its own thing. There we go. I lost a little bit of time there, so I don't know. And now once again, there goes your time while it's moving its pieces. Sometimes it's not a big deal, sometimes it really is. I'm going to lose a piece. I'm not even paying attention. I just wanted to kind of show you that 5 minutes is possible, but I would not recommend it on this board. Because the opponent is actually playing probably on their computer or on their phone. They're not playing on this board right now. I'm going to resign. You can also play through their Square Off, which is sort of their own realm of chess, but we've seen that with the other Square Off boards. Alright, so what I want to do now is I'm going to take the Square Off Swap and set it next to the Square Off Neo. I might even use an alternative phone here to basically show you guys how the two boards are as far as performance and speed, because especially for the people out there that might be looking for an automated chess board for more quicker games like Blitz and Bullet, it might make a difference as far as your decision making, whether or not you want to consider, using one board versus the other. Honestly, when I reviewed the Square Off Swap board, if you're really looking for a board that you're going to be playing like very fast games, you may or may not even want to consider a board that has automated pieces. I mean, you can always use the Square Off Neo for just LED lights, and that way the game will progress a lot quicker. But if you're intending to have a board that's going to have self-moving pieces and you want to play on like Blitz and Bullet games, you're probably not going to get that sweet spot. But either way, I'm just going to go ahead and bring the Square Off Swap board right next to the Neo, and we'll take a look. Because last time that I reviewed the swap board, I believe that you could play more faster games on it. Maybe the arm is a little bit stronger, but we'll take a look. Alrighty, I'm going to be using my old phone for the Square Off Swap over here because I don't want to swap the connections between the two different phones. We're going to just take a look and see what is going to be the main difference, as I am connected right now with the swap, and the swap is turned on, so all the connection is there. First, we're going to try to play against the AI, and we're going to go ahead and do the Square Off AI for time interval, clock. The two options do look a little bit different, if you can see right over here. When it comes to playing against the AI, you can choose time intervals as quick as 5 minutes here, but it seems like here you have Blitz
and classic and custom. So we're gonna go ahead and set this on Blitz and set this on 5-minute, and I'm gonna set the two boards next to each other, and we're just gonna try to see what the difference is as far as the speed. Additionally, when you are connected to the swap, when you click the Blitz, it asks you whether or not you want a 5-minute, a 3-minute game, or do you want any increments here. So that's another thing worth considering. Another thing that's different right over here is on the swap, when you click for those fast games, you get semi-automation, full automation, or LED lights. Here we just get automation and LED lights, so it's a little bit different here as well.
So we're gonna go ahead and do full automation for both, and let's play the game. Okay, ready? Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, go. Both are going, both are connected, both are ready to go. Okay, so well, that kind of fell. I don't know what's going on there. All right. Okay. Oh, that one has taken a piece, I guess. As you can see, based on this video, as far as the speed, it does seem like the square off swap is moving considerably faster, which may allow this board to be used for faster games. In case you're looking for like a board that does have automated features that may not be 100% perfect, but at least will have a quick enough arm to give you those 3 or 5 minute games that you might be looking for. So that is a good thing to see. Let's try again. Let's just see how fast things are going to be moving. Okay. It would be nice for me to be able to see, so I'm going to take these out. Okay, out. That board does take a little bit longer to think, for sure. Additionally, if we want to stream games like this one here, I think is Hikaru Nakamura versus somebody, on the Neo board, as we've seen before, it's not allowed for us to be able to use the board, but on the swap we are able to use it. So let's go ahead and click board and start streaming. Here, for example, we're seeing a streaming game going on live right now as it's moving on the board. Right over here, you see the pieces are being moved. So you can see the game as it's progressing. If you're interested in watching other games and you don't necessarily want to stare at a screen, or you just want that authentic feel of a chessboard, both of the sides will be having automated movements, so you don't really even need to touch the board. Honestly, just sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee and watch the game progress. So that's kind of cool. It is nice that we have that perk with the square off swap. I'm not really sure why they chose not to include that with the square off Neo. So in conclusion, both of the boards are pretty nice. Both of them act in the same way. The arm moves around underneath the board, grabbing on the pieces with some kind of a magnetic force, and then puts those pieces in the proper squares. Both of the chessboards do seem like when they're moving the pieces around, sometimes those pieces may kind of run into each other a little bit, pushing the pieces out of the way. Sometimes it auto-corrects them, sometimes not, but especially if you're playing a quicker game, it seems like in some situations, if a piece slides next to another piece, it could kind of push that other piece out of the way a little bit and could kind of sort of mess up your game, maybe not. We see that the square off swap board is definitely quicker when it comes to the movement of the pieces. It might be that the arm inside of the square off swap is just more powerful and it slightly more energy maybe consuming than the square off Neo, but the square off swap is a little bit heavier. Overall, you can definitely tell when you pick it up it's heavier. It's not so much heavy because of the pieces, since the pieces are about the same, but 4 pounds versus 6.2, it's a little bit of a difference. But if you're thinking about buying one board versus the other, The pros for the Square Off Neo, in my opinion, would be the size. It doesn't occupy as much space, so there's that form factor. It does look more like a wooden chessboard, even though it's still plastic. So it's compact, it looks nice, it's presentable, and you can still play games both face-to-face, like we've seen. You can play with the automated movements of the chess pieces, you can play without them, you can have the LED lights guide you, as we've seen on many of the other electronic chessboards. You can just have the LED lights light up and you just put the pieces where they need to go. Or you can play it, you know, online with the automated chess pieces and the movement, and you're gonna have a great time. I believe the two boards, they are priced somewhat similar. I know that both of the boards have been kind of on back order for a while. In fact, the Square Off Neo, it's been kind of hard to get. At this point, I'm really not sure. I bought both of these boards with my own money, so I'm not being like sponsored by the company or anything like that. This is purely my own opinion about, you know, what I think about these boards. I do like the swap because of the little side things here, and when you are playing classic games, it will move the pieces to their position where specifically, so that's kind of nice to see. I really like the fact that the swap is a lot faster, so you can play quicker games on it, especially if you are looking to play those bullets or blitz games. You know, the arm moves significantly faster, it grabs onto the pieces quicker. It just allows for a much more quick game if that's what you're looking for. But if we're comparing these two boards when it comes to like classical play, probably going to be very similar. Okay, so you're not really going to take into, like if you're playing a 30-minute game, both of the boards are probably going to act about the same. The only downside is because there's no extra side space that we see on the swap for the pieces on the Square Off Neo. Then when you are playing a game, whether it's online or against the AI, if the opponent takes your piece, it's going to take your piece all the way down to the sideline, and then you'd have to be forced to pick it up and put it down somewhere. Whereas in the Square Off Swap, it can effectively put it on its piece where it needs to go, and then you don't even need to worry about it. So you don't have to dispose of it. You don't have to do anything really. If you are looking for a board that is compact and that size factor is really important to you, then yeah, I would probably say the Square Off Neo is going to be your choice if you want the automated chess pieces. If you don't want the automated chess pieces, then you can get the Chestnut Air or the Chestnut Air Plus or the Chestnut Evo. A lot of those boards will offer you just as many features as the Square Off, but their software is a little bit more open to different accessories, as we've seen before, so it might be worth considering. But just for curiosity's sake, that's kind of what we have. And if you found this video in any way interesting, if you wanted me to elaborate on anything else, please be sure to leave a description below. Like if you wanted to see other features or any other things, like if you want me to compare the Square Off Neo to any of the other electronic boards that I have, I might be able to do that. But I just wanted to kind of I know this video might be drawn out forever if I show every single little detail. I just kind of wanted to give a glimpse of what these boards are all about. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I wish everybody a happy week. Stay productive, stay safe everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye-bye.